All right, exercise 145. Again, this is chapter 33, and now we're on to page 237. All right, we were asking who the old man is. Let's identify our indirect question. Who the old man is. We were asking is going to be taken care of with one verb in Greek, and that's going to be an imperfect verb because we want to say were asking, not just asked once, but we kept asking, we were asking who the old man is. Now, note here, in my last lesson, I would have translated this was. I would have followed the relative time, because if we wanted to, let's draw my favorite little time charts. So we're saying we were asking, multiple asking in the past, and at that point, our kind of word bubble was, who is the old man? So we were asking this at the same time contemporaneously. If we were asking something with a kind of future question, who will be the old man? Or who will the old man be? We could imagine maybe we're casting a play and there's an old man character and we say, who will be the old man? Well then, if we were going to put that in an indirect question, we would say we were asking who the old man would be. So just because it's a future, if you have a future in the past, that doesn't just make it equal, right? It's not like -1 + 1 = 0. That's not how it works with this. You'd be getting a different kind of formation of your helping verb there. So that's not what we're dealing with. This is just English can be flexible on this, and Shelmerdine's showing that. We were asking, who is the old man? And also I think she's kind of giving us a help that really what we want here is a present tense verb in the indirect discourse. All right, so we were asking. So we go to our verb form, erotao, and then we want to make it plural, and we want to make it imperfect. So imperfect is easy, right? Where you take the augment so that epsilon turns into an eta, and then we drop the active singular active first person singular, and then we want a active first person plural. So amen is what we'll have, but then we're going to get contraction there between the alpha and the omicron, resulting in an omega. And an omega with a circumflex, because that accent from the epsilon, or because we used to have amen, the accent used to fall on that alpha. So it would go up, come down on the omicron, and that's now represented in the circumflex over the omega. So we were asking who? Tis. Or we could also use an indefinite relative, right? Because these are both options for us. In which case, remember that this is formed by using the relative, so hos, and then following it with the enclitic form of the relative, of the interrogative pronoun, so the indefinite tis. So hostis, we would decline both. So we're asking who the old man, so ha geron is. So we got a couple options here. The accent's going to fall there, so we could have estin, and we'd want a new movable at the end because it would be the end of the sentence and it would get an acute accent. Or, because this is secondary sequence, we would have the option of using the optative form an as well. Estin is going to be more likely, but this is also possible, so I'll put it in brackets. Just like hostis is equally possible, but you're probably going to get tis. So let's recap. We were asking who the old man is. We were asking secondary imperfect who, and we can use either the interrogative or the indefinite relative. The old man, nice and easy, halgeron, is. And then again, because it's secondary sequence, we could use the optative if we wanted to. All right, 1 down, 2 to go. I asked that sailor whether the ship had arrived at last. So I asked. Now we're looking simple aspects. So we're looking at the aorist. Remember we have two, but there's a more common form, which is aeromain. So aeromain, I asked that sailor. So remember how we can do this. We can do ton nautain and then akanon. using that demonstrative pronoun pointing out to that. And this is where the word tends to appear. It doesn't appear in the sandwich. It's either before or after. To say there, that one, whether, and then we're going to use that word for whether, poteron, whether the ship, so he nous, the subject of the sentence, had arrived. So what tense are we looking for there? The asking is in a simple past tense. So our question is starting here with the question word whether, and then this is going to be relative time. So really what we just want, this sounds pluperfect in English, but that's because it's past beyond an earlier past. So all we need here is a past tense verb that fits the aspectual distinction. So this could be perfect, had arrived, with the result that it was still in the harbor, or just had arrived and there it happened, that the arrival had happened. So we're going to be looking here either for aorist or perfect. We'll get back to what verb they're looking for. And then at last, remember we had seen this adverb in the last sentence, telos, and it's, or not last sentence, last chapter, chapter 32 it was introduced. And that's going to likely precede the verb. So let's erase all of this and start building it again a little bit more accurately. Whether the ship at last had arrived, but really we just want some form of arrive. And hopefully you'll remember that the verb for arrive in Greek is a deponent, aphik neomai. But that's the present tense, and we need an aorist. So you would go to your chart and remember, or just remember because you've been a good student and memorized all these things, and see aphikamein. So that's I have arrived. We need to, of course, make this third person singular. So instead of amein, aphiketo. So that's our aorist option. And then now let's look at our perfect. Well, we're not going to see a perfect active because this is a deponent verb. So it's going to be our fifth principal part that we're looking for. And you'll see aphigmai, or aphigmai. So now what do we need to do? We need to turn this mai into a tie. But note that this gamma here is going to need to change, because basically what we've got is a kappa before this consonant, whatever it's going to be. So how does this work? Well, we have to go back to our chapter 32 chart and see what happens when we have one of these consonant stems running into these endings that also begin with consonants. And fortunately, because, I mean, all that you really need to know is we've got a guttural, right? Kappa, gamma, and chi are all gutturals. And when they precede an unvoiced consonant like that, they're going to go unvoiced as well. So we are going to get kappa, tau, alpha, epsilon. Once you get used to the language, that will be a no-brainer. It's just, obviously it has to be iktai. But this is something to pay attention to now. So those are either, literally this would be arrived,